You open your eyes for the first time in 1431, and congratulations. You're born into a family where loyalty is a death sentence. Your name is Vlad. Cute, right? One day they'll add the Impaler to that. But for now, you're just a baby in Sighișoara, Romania, blissfully unaware that your last name is basically a bullseye painted on your tiny forehead. Your father is Vlad II Dracul, Knight of the Order of the Dragon. Sounds majestic, doesn't it? Ceremonies, swords, sacred oaths. In reality, it means he's playing chess with empires that eat pawns for breakfast. The Holy Roman Empire on one side, the Ottoman Empire on the other. Dad thinks he's clever, switching allegiances like a man changing clothes at a funeral. Spoiler, he's not clever, he's the main course. But you don't know this yet. You're a kid wandering through a cold castle, surrounded by armored men who speak only of war and whisper only of betrayal. No toys, no laughter, no bedtime stories, just stone walls, flickering torches, and the constant feeling that something terrible lurks around every corner. You're right. One morning, Ottoman soldiers storm through your gates. You're 11 years old. Maybe you're eating stale bread. Maybe you're throwing rocks at pigeons. Doesn't matter. Cold hands grab you and your younger brother Radu before you can even scream for help. Your father sold you. Not with gold coins, with silence. He handed both of you to the Ottomans as insurance, 2 sons to guarantee his good behavior. A political handshake sealed with his own children's freedom. You look back at the castle as they drag you away. Your home shrinks in the distance. Your father stands at the gate. He doesn't wave. He doesn't cry. He watches. Lucky you. Now you belong to Sultan Murad II. You're not a guest. You're not exactly a prisoner either. You're a receipt. Living proof that Daddy will behave himself. The road to the Ottoman Empire stretches endlessly before you. Dust fills your lungs. Fear fills everything else. And somewhere ahead, a smell awaits you. One that will never leave your skin. The Ottoman Empire welcomes you the way a butcher welcomes a pig. With plans. You and Radu aren't thrown into a dungeon. That would be too simple. Instead, they place you somewhere worse. A holding cell dressed as hospitality. Stone floors. No windows. Guards who look at you like you're already dead. Your first job? Cleaning. Not dishes, not floors, toilets. And calling them toilets is generous. They're holes. Deep, festering pits filled with the waste of soldiers, prisoners, and whoever else the Empire forgot about. Every morning you crawl down with a bucket and your bare hands. You scrub. You try not to vomit. You fail. The smell latches onto your skin like a curse. It soaks into your hair, your nails, the spaces between your fingers. You wash yourself raw, but it lingers. Other prisoners notice. They call you names. They laugh. You learn to stop smelling yourself. You learn to stop feeling. Nights are worse. The cell is crowded with men who've lost everything. Battles, families, sanity. You and Radu curl into the corner, backs against the wall, eyes wide open. Sleep is a luxury you can't afford. Every shadow could be a threat. Every snore could turn into something worse. There's one man in particular. Massive. Silent. He sits across the room and stares at you for hours. Never blinks. Never speaks. Radu is convinced he'll kill you both in your sleep. You tell your brother that's ridiculous. You don't believe yourself. Days blur into weeks, into months. The routine is always the same. Wake up, clean filth, eat food that tastes like punishment, avoid eye contact, survive until tomorrow. But survival here isn't living. It's waiting. You're waiting for something to change. For someone to rescue you. For your father to ride in with an army and burn this place to the ground. He doesn't come. Nobody comes. And slowly, you begin to understand. You're not being held here to suffer. You're being prepared. The Ottomans have plans for you. They don't want you broken forever. They want you useful. One morning, the guards don't drag you to the toilets. They throw you into a courtyard. No explanation, no warning. Just a wooden sword shoved into your hands and a soldier 3 times your size charging at you. Before you can blink, you're on the ground. Your ribs scream. The soldiers laugh. Welcome to training. Every single day they beat the weakness out of you. Sword fighting, horse riding, military strategy. The Ottoman language twists your tongue into knots, but you learn it anyway. You don't have a choice. Every mistake earns you a new scar, sometimes a whip, sometimes a fist, Sometimes just words that cut deeper than blades. You bleed, you bruise, you keep going. But Radu? Your little brother handles things differently. He stops resisting. He listens. He obeys. He smiles at the guards who tortured you both. Slowly, the Ottomans reward his submission. Better clothes, real food, a warm bed instead of cold stone. They even let him dine with officers, laughing at their jokes like he belongs there. You watch him from across the courtyard, covered in sweat and blood, while he eats fresh lamb with his new friends. Something inside you cracks, not into weakness, into rage. You refuse to bend. Every beating makes you harder. Every insult fuels something dark growing in your chest. The Ottomans see a stubborn prisoner. They don't see what's actually forming beneath the surface. A monster. Years pass. You're not a scared boy anymore. Your body is a weapon. Your mind is sharper. You've memorized their tactics, their weaknesses, their arrogance. You speak their language fluently now, not because you love it, but because knowing your enemy is the first step to destroying him. Radu has become one of them. He prays their prayers. He wears their silk. He's forgotten where he came from. You haven't forgotten anything. You remember the castle, the cold hands, your father's silence. You remember every humiliation, every scar, every night spent wondering if you'd survive until morning. And you swear to yourself, one day, they'll remember you too. Not as a hostage, as something far worse. The news arrives like a knife between the ribs. Your father is dead, murdered by the boyars, the same nobles he trusted, the same men who ate at his table and swore loyalty to his face. But that's not all. Your older brother Mircea? They captured him, gouged out his eyes, and buried him alive. Just like that, your family is erased. All except you. And Radu, who barely flinches when he hears the news. He's too Ottoman now to care about Wallachian blood. The Sultan smiles. He sees opportunity. A broken puppet ready to be placed on a broken throne. They release you, not out of kindness, but calculation. Return to Wallachia, they say. Rule for us. Be grateful. You bow your head. You say the right words. You play the obedient dog. They have no idea what they've unleashed. Wallachia is a disaster. It's fighting lords, peasants starving, enemies circling like vultures. Nobody believes in you. You're just the Ottoman's puppet, they whisper. A boy who cleaned toilets pretending to be king. Time to change the narrative. First, the beggars. You invite every homeless soul to a grand feast. Free food, warm shelter. They think you're generous. Then you lock the doors and set the building on fire. Problem solved. Message sent. Next, you place a golden cup at the public fountain. Anyone can drink from it, but steal it? Impalement. The cup sits there for years. Nobody touches it. Now, the nobles, those beautiful backstabbers who murdered your father and brother. You invite them to dinner. Smiles everywhere, wine flowing. They think you've forgiven them. Halfway through dessert, your soldiers surround the room. By morning, their bodies decorate the landscape on wooden stakes. But the masterpiece comes when the Ottomans march toward your kingdom. 20,000 soldiers expecting easy victory. Instead, they find a forest. Not of trees, of corpses. 20,000 rotting bodies impaled on stakes, stretching for miles. Men, women, prisoners, anyone who opposed you, displayed like a grotesque gallery. The Ottoman army stops, stares, turns around. You win without swinging a single sword. They call you Vlad the Impaler now. Finally, a name that fits. You've won. You're feared. You're powerful. So why can't you sleep? Every night, the same ritual. You lie down in silk sheets, surrounded by guards, protected by walls, and your mind betrays you. Faces appear. Hundreds of them. Thousands. The nobles you impaled. The beggars you burned. The soldiers whose bodies decorated your forest. They don't scream in your dreams. They just stare, waiting. You tell yourself they deserved it. Every single one. They were traitors, parasites, threats. You did what was necessary. A weak king shows mercy. A strong king shows stakes. But the faces keep coming. And then there's Radu. Your own brother now leads Ottoman armies against you. The same boy who curled beside you in that cell, terrified of shadows, now wears enemy silk and commands enemy soldiers. He wants your throne, your kingdom, your head. Blood means nothing. You learned that from your father. Paranoia becomes your only companion. Every advisor could be a spy. Every servant could be an assassin. Every smile hides a blade. You trust no one. You sleep with weapons. You execute men based on rumors. The kingdom you built on fear starts crumbling from within. In 1462, the boyars make their move. The same noble class you thought you'd crushed rises again. They overthrow you, chain you, and throw you into a Hungarian prison. 12 years of captivity. 12 years staring at walls, replaying every decision, every kill, every moment that led you here. Impaled by his own legacy. In 1476, you try once more. One final attempt to reclaim everything. You raise an army. You march toward glory. You find death instead. Your enemies ambush you, cut you down, and sever your head. They send it to Constantinople, preserved in honey, displayed as a trophy. The Ottoman Sultan who once released you now owns the only part of you that remains. You became a legend. That part is true. But happiness? Peace? A single night without ghosts? Never. You spent your whole life escaping prisons, Ottoman cells, noble conspiracies, enemy armies. Turns out the final prison was always you.